तमेव लोकशङ्करं नमामि शङ्करं गुरुं नमामि शङ्करं गुरुं नमामि शङ्करं गुरुं.
शृङ्गाद्रिवासाय विधिप्रियाय कारुण्यवाराम्बुधये नताय विज्ञानदायाखिलभाग्यदाय श्रीशारदाख्याय नमो महिम्ने. सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्. Offering my Sashtanga Pranamas to the Padapadmas of the Ubhay Jagadgurus. With this episode, we shall be concluding our discussion of the Kamalajadayitashtaka, a stotra in praise of Sharadamba, composed by the 33rd Jagadguru of the Sharada Peetha, Jagadguru Shri Shri Satchidananda Shivabhinava Nrisimha Bharati Mahaswami. In the last 7 shlokas, Acharya has discussed the glory of Devi, how Devi came to be in Sringeri, what it is that constitutes a healthy spiritual life, what a dharmic life entails of, how we should be worshipping Devi, and the necessary qualities that make one an adhikari for Vedanta sadhana, the necessary qualities that qualify someone to truly attain fruition in Vedantic sadhana. In the last shloka, the shloka that we shall discuss today, the 8th shloka, the Jagadguru is telling us what the road to moksha entails of. So now that, let us say based on the last shloka, that the sadhaka has gotten for himself, has acquired for himself the sadhana chatushtaya sampatti, what is it that the path to moksha looks like after that? So the last shloka in this stotra is Satchidrupatmano me shruti manana nididhyasananyashu matah sampadya svantametad ruchiyuta manisham nirvikalpe samadhau tungatirankara varagraha vilasat chakra rajasanasthe vidyam shuddhancha buddhim kamalajadayite sattvarandehi mahyam. The overall meaning of the shloka is as follows. Acharya is asking Devi to allow for the proper practice of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. Acharya also asks that the mind be ever engaged and delighting in Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, and also says that these practices with Devi's grace should come to me, who am of the form of Satchidananda. So Satchidrupatmanaha me, my true form is that of Satchidananda, the Nirguna Chaitanya. To myself, who has such a true form, Devi should give these Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and Samadhi. And in the 3rd pada, Acharya then praises Devi as she who resides in the Sri Chakra in a mandira on the banks of the Tunga river. So now if we look at what these Shravana, Manana and Nididhyasana are, the goal of Vedanta is to achieve Advaita, to realize the unity between the Jiva and Brahman. Whenever we need to truly understand something, there are 3 types of obstacles that will prevent us from doing so. In Shastra, these are called Pramana Asambhavana, Prameya Asambhavana and Viparita Bhavana. These 3 defects will prevent us from truly understanding something properly. So Pramana Sambhavana is basically a lack of belief in the means of knowledge, that is a Pramana. So when the cognizer says that there is no means of knowledge that puts forth this object to me, there is no means of knowledge by which this object can be cognized, that is Pramana Asambhavana. For example, if someone says that there is a fire on a mountain somewhere far away, he cannot see it, so he will say that Pratyaksha Pramana is not helpful here. He does not trust in the words of the friend that is telling him this. So he will say Shabda Pramana also does not work in this way. Besides Anumana Pramana, he will say that there is no Pramana that proves that there is fire on that mountain, and therefore I will not believe it. Now, if you show him the proper Pramana through Anumana, if you show him and tell him that no, through Anumana you can say that there is fire there is smoke, wherever there is smoke there is fire. So if you see smoke on that mountain, it means there is fire there. Then he will understand that there is a Pramana that proves the existence of fire, and he can then believe that there is fire there. So in this way, in Pramana Asambhavana, the defect is that you cannot believe that you will not find, the cognizer will not find any means of knowledge that puts forth the object being discussed. So it is to get rid of this Pramana Asambhavana that Shravana is practiced. Shravana means listening to the Upanishads and other Vedantic texts and ascertaining that the true purport of these Vedantas lies in the Advitiya Brahman. So basically, until then the sadhaka will be of the mindset that people talk about something called Advaita, they talk about something called Jiva Brahmaikya, but I do not find any proof of that. There is no pramana that puts forth this Advaita Vedanta. Upon looking at the Upanishads and deciphering that their true purport lies in Jiva Brahmaikya, in Advaita, he will then say, okay, there is a pramana for Jiva Brahmaikya. That pramana is the Shabda pramana of the Upanishads. So thus through Shravana, the Pramana Asambhavana is removed. The next defect is Prameya Asambhavana. So in some cases, the cognizer will find a Pramana for an object, but he will not believe that such an object can exist. For example, in this very same situation, he will say that, okay, Advaita has found a Pramana in the Upanishads. The Pramana for Advaita is the Upanishads. However, this is not possible. Jiva Brahmaikya is not something that is feasible in this world. There might be a Pramana, the Upanishads might be propounding it, but it is just not possible. Prameya, the object of knowledge, is not feasible because Ishvara is Sarvajna, the Jiva is Kinchitnya, Ishvara is Sarvashakta, Jiva is Alpashakta. In this way, it is not possible for Jiva Brahmaikya to happen. Then comes Manana. Manana means Yuktibhir Anujintanam, to mull over what the purport of the Vedantas is using logic, using tarka, using reason. So that is why Bhagavad Pada also says, Dustarkat suviramyatam, Shrutimatas tarko nu sandhiyatam. Do not engage in pure logic. First understand the purport of the Vedas and then engage in logical discussions conducive to that. In the same way, this Manana also is thinking about how this Siddhanta of Advaita is logical. Is it feasible? Does it work when given intellectual thought? So all of this is done through Manana. And through Manana, the sadhaka will realize that Advaita Vedanta is not just some concept found in the Upanishads. It is a feasible concept that really does exist. Advaita, Jiva Brahmaikya is real. It is not unfeasible. So this is the fruit of Manana. Then the last dosha that you have is Viparita Bhavana. So the cognition that you get is actually opposite to the cognition that should be obtained. For example, someone with Pitta dosha will see everything as yellow. So even if you put a Shankha in front of him, he will say that the conch is yellow, Pita Shankha. This is Viparita Bhavana because the conch should be perceived as white. However, he is perceiving it as yellow. So this is called Viparita Bhavana. This can be removed through a certain type of contemplation. For example, currently in the Vedantic example, the sadhaka has discerned that the pramana for Vedanta and for Advaita and Jiva Brahmaikya is the Vedantas, the Upanishads. He has also ascertained that the Jiva Brahmaikya propounded by the Upanishads is sound, it is logical, and however, he still is of the feeling that the Atma is the Sharira, I am this body-mind complex. This is Viparita Bhavana because although Jiva Brahmaikya is understood, he has not brought it to experience. He still experiences himself as the body and the mind. rather than as the Shuddha Chaitanya, as the Nirguna Atma. So this is Viparita Bhavana. Rather than seeing himself as Satchidananda, he is seeing himself as the body and the mind. Through Nididhyasana, this can be averted. Nididhyasana is what we call Sajatiya Pratyaya Dhara. So a single chain of unbroken thoughts dwelling on one object alone. That is Nididhyasana, and the object here is Jiva Brahmaikya. So an unbroken stream of thoughts all focusing on Jiva Brahmaikya is Nididhyasana. This is the last step. And with this, the Viparita Bhavana, improper cognition also will go. Now, for Nididhyasana to happen properly, so this is the Shruti Manana Nididhyasanani, Shruti Shravana Manana Nididhyasana. For this to happen, one must be well versed in yoga, because yoga is the tool, it is the path for one to restrain one's mind, to control one's mind. That is why in the very first sutra of the Yoga Shastra, we have Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodhaha. Yoga is the arresting of the mind and its workings. So, without yoga sadhana, nididhyasana will not attain fruition. That is why Acharya is saying, Sampadya svantametad ruchiyutamanisham nirvikalpe samadho. Svantametad, this mind, Sampadya, please make it, nirvikalpe samadho ruchiyutam. Please make it delight in nirvikalpaka samadhi. So, samadhi is of two kinds, savikalpaka samadhi and nirvikalpaka samadhi. In savikalpaka samadhi, a difference is still perceived between the perceiver and the object of perceiving and the object of perception. This difference is still there in Savikalpaka Samadhi. In Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, even this difference is not there. There is no difference between the perceiver and the object of perception. Only the drashta exists in his swarupa. That is why the Yoga Sutra says, Tada drashtuhu swarupe avasthanam. So it is that state of Nirvikalpaka Samadhi that we must attain. However, there are some obstacles to Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. Shastra tells us that these obstacles to Nirvikalpaka Samadhi are fourfold. Namely, Laya, Vikshepa, Kashaya and Rasasvada. When the sadhaka attempts to fix his mind single-pointedly on one object to the exclusion of everything else, there are four things that stop him from achieving Nirvikalpaka Samadhi. The first is called Laya. So, Laya here is referring to the concept of Pravilapa, wherein when one slips into sleep, the vritti of the mind undergoes Laya. The Manas has something called a vritti. A vritti is the form that the mind takes when dwelling upon a certain object. So, when the mind thinks about a pot, it will obtain a certain vritti. When the mind thinks about a cloth, it will obtain a certain vritti. When the mind thinks about a tree, it will take upon a certain vritti. So for each object, the mind will assume a certain form conducive to perceiving that object. This is called a vritti. When one goes into deep sleep, into sushupti, the vritti of the mind attains laya, it dissolves, because in deep sleep, in sushupti, there are no thoughts of objects. So in that span of time, there are no vrittis. So the process of the mind with a vritti going into deep sleep that does not have a vritti is called pravilapa, wherein the vritti undergoes laya. So as the sadhaka is attempting to fix his mind in one vritti and one vritti alone, then if at all he slips into sleep, that vritti will be lost. The vritti will undergo laya, and instead of being in Nirvikalpaka Samadhi, he will slip into Sushupti. So, one obstacle to Nirvikalpaka Samadhi is laya. The second is called Vikshepa. Vikshepa literally means distraction or agitation. So, when the sadhaka is trying to fix his mind on an object and arrest his mind in one vritti, he will hear some sound, he will see something, he will feel something, some sensory stimulus will come that will distract him and shake him out of the samadhi. This is called Vikshepa. The third obstacle is called Kashaya. The word Kashaya refers to Raga and Dvesha. When one has Raga or Dvesha towards the object of meditation or towards something else, it will pull the mind. The Raga and Dvesha affect the mind in such a way that it will not be fixed. Likes or dislikes are very capable of pulling the mind away from being focused. So these kashayas, if they exist in the mind or if they exist regarding the object of meditation, they too pose an obstacle to the sadhaka who is trying to attain samadhi. The last of the four is called rasasvada. So rasasvada means a liking to savikalpaka samadhi. So there is a certain peace in savikalpaka samadhi, there is a certain pleasantness of mind in savikalpaka samadhi. So if the sadhaka becomes accustomed to this savikalpaka samadhi, if he becomes used to experiencing the happiness in savikalpaka samadhi, he will not seek to move past savikalpaka samadhi and go up to the stage of nirvikalpaka samadhi. So that is what is called rasa asvada. Rasa refers to either happiness or a liking for something. So that liking towards savikalpaka samadhi will be a hindrance for the sadhaka graduating past that and attaining nirvikalpaka samadhi. So Acharya is asking Devi that these four obstacles be removed and the mind be rendered ever delightful in experiencing that pleasure in nirvikalpaka samadhi. And lastly, after asking for Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana and Samadhi to be performed properly, Acharya, the Jagadguru, then praises Devi with one Visheshana. Tungatirankaraja dvaragraha vilasat chakraraja sanaste. You who are situated in the Chakra Raja, the Shri Chakra, which is situated in Varagraha, in a beautiful mandira, which is situated on Tunga Tiranka, in the banks of the Tunga river. So, by calling out to Devi in this way, Acharya is reminding us that Devi is not just the Patni of the Srishtikarta. Devi is not just the wife of the Creator, but she is the Shri Chakra Sancharini, she is the Adhishthatri of the Shri Chakra. So, the Shri Chakra is actually a representation of this entire cosmos. Shri Chakram Shivayor Vapuho. This entire cosmos, which is made up of Shiva and Shakti, is represented as the Shri Chakra, which is why this Shri Chakra has 9 avaranas, it has 9 encirclements, it has 9 layers, 9 levels. The more inward you go, the closer you get to the Paramatma Tattva, and in the middle you have Devi as Tripura Sundari along with Kameshwara. That is why Tantra tells us Bindu Trikona Vasukona Dashara Yugma Manvashra Nagadala Sanyuta Shodasharam Vrittatrayancha Dharani Sadanatrayancha Shri Chakra Raja Uditah Paradevatayah. So there are 9 avaranas starting with a Bindu, the dot in the center, Trikona, a triangle around that, Vasukona, an 8-edged avarana, Dashara Yugma. In this way there are 9 avaranas. But it is in the Bindu that Devi resides along with her consort Mahakameshwara. That is why we get in the Lalita Sahasranama also Bindu Mandala Madhyastha. So Devi, Sharada Devi, is the embodiment of that Tripura Sundari, that Shakti that performs the Srishti, Sthiti and Laya of this entire cosmos. So with namaskaras to that Devi, Acharya asks as usual, Vidyam Shuddhancha Buddhim Kamalajadayite Sattvaram Dehi Mahyam. Give me Shuddha Buddhi, give me a pure mind and Shuddha Vidya, Brahmajnana, so that I may attain the highest goal of this human life. In this way, Acharya has not just prayed to Devi in this stotra, but has actually laid out for us what a proper dharmic and spiritual life consists of. Just as a child, a newborn child, cries when it is hungry, not knowing what it truly wants. In the same way, we too abide in this samsara. We live alongside our raga and dveshas, our ragas and our dveshas, not knowing what it is that we should truly seek. When we come across a Mahatma, when we come across the Jagadgurus, when we come across Bhagavan in an alaya or a mandira, or even for that matter when we do Nitya Puja in our homes every day, we do not know what it is that is truly deserving of being asked. So, in the guise of this stotra, Acharya has praised Sharadamba and at the same time laid out what it is that we should ask. So, let us, as per the guidance of the Jagadguru, pray to Devi that we may attain Shuddha Buddhi and Shuddha Vidya. If we have a pure mind, we will be greatly aided in our quest for moksha, and if we obtain all the qualities that the Jagadguru has laid out in this stotra, we will not just be leading happy spiritual lives, but we will become very complete individuals as well. So, thus, because Sharada Devi is a predominant devata in this Punyabhumi of Sringeri, we have discussed one stotra that is in praise of Sharadamba, composed by the Jagadgurus. In the coming episodes, we will be discussing one more stotra composed by the Jagadgurus in praise of a devata that predates Sharadamba in this kshetra, Shri Malahanikareshwara. There is, as we all know, the Malahanikareshwara Ashtaka, composed by Jagadguru Shri Shri Vidhashekara Bharati Sannidhanam Varu, that discusses the glory of Malahanikareshwara, the Leela of Paramashiva, the stories that are connected to that Devalaya. That one stotra is a synopsis of the Vaibhava and the glory of Malahanikareshwara. So in the episodes to come, we shall discuss that stotra and thereby do Bhagavad Chintana in the episodes to come. Namah Shankaraya.
Namami Shankaram Guru.